Hello, everyone. This is Moses Ross. I'm president of the Multnomah Neighborhood Association, and you are at our October general meeting of the Neighborhood Association. It's Tuesday, October 8th. We're doing this in a hybrid fashion, both in person and online. Currently, we have 3 people in person here, myself, Julie Leet, a board member, or pardon me, our secretary, and a new resident, a resident of Multnomah who is here checking us out for the very first time. So I'm on my best behavior as the as the moderator here.
And you can
What was your name again, sir?
leave it on. And
Nathan.
up here. And if you need to.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
It's okay. Here, I'm going to mute you. Okay, there we go. All righty. So we have the 3 here, and then we have, it looks like online, we have 13 people online. And according to my calculations, we have a quorum of the board and the officers of 6 people here. So when we get to that point, in the new business, we can have a vote. So let's get started. And first thing on the agenda is the reports. Let's see, officers' reports. I did want to give most of this time to the treasurer for his report. But I do want...
Moses?
Yes, Beth?
Could you read the agenda? I haven't seen today's.
Oh, okay. It's okay. It's pretty fundamental. It's first officers report. The second is the 2025 goals report. Third is the election nominations committee report. Fourth is the MSRV CAC report. Fifth is the District 4 coalition report. Sixth, community events, and then the livability subcommittee report. 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th is transportation, equity, public safety, and communications. And then about 8 of 5, we'd go on with 20 minutes worth of new business. And at 8:25, go over the agenda for the next meeting in November, and then adjourn by 8:30 is kind of the timeframe plans.
Moses.
Have you added the electric scooters to the under new business?
No, we'll talk about that on the new business. So make sure to bring that back up. Okay, we'll talk about it there. And is there, I know that that's one item that needs to be added to the agenda, is what our vice president mentioned about the Lime scooters that are been ubiquitously showing up all throughout our neighborhood. Are there any other agenda items that I need to add, or anything that I may have missed?
Well, I think in the beginning, if we approve the agenda and also approve the minutes of the past 3 meetings would be helpful. Should be very quick.
Minutes of the last 3 meetings? Oh, Julie. Okay, well, let's talk about the minutes for a minute, and let's get those 3 out of the way. These, I'm assuming, are the minutes for July, August, and September.
July, September special and September regular, yeah.
Okay,
August,
oh, that's right. Pardon? Oh, that's right. So July, September, and that's it. Okay, so just those 2 months that we need to approve.
Special September board meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the special board meeting. Those minutes, I'm assuming, are on the public folder.
They are in
available?
this meeting's folder.
Okay. Well, are there any, upon review of is there any changes that need to be made to those minutes that they have been changed? Okay. Well, seeing that there's no changes to them, I don't think we need to take a vote for the approval of minutes. It's just making sure that any additions to them have been made and that they are accurate. And according to our secretary, that is the case. So moving forward with those, if folks would like to review those would be back into the public folder as well, for that particular month's meeting. And then for the agenda, we have tonight's agenda that I have on the screen and that I recited just a moment ago. We've added one item under new business, and that's our vice president's Lime the Lime scooter discussion. Is there any other issues that we need to add to the agenda that I may have missed?
Yeah, Moses, the treasurer submitted a motion for approval of a September through December budget. And I think it was posted about 4 days ago. And also, I'd like at some point, doesn't have to be tonight, but to talk about about special meetings and if we can continue to meet regularly on basically board development, organizational development topics.
Okay. I don't know if that's necessarily a topic that we need to address in tonight's meeting. I think that that might be a topic that we could have offline. And because I do have the flexibility to be able to call special meetings, and given the positive response that we had at the last one, I'm very inclined to continue doing that at least every other month. So that we can get caught up in our work. Penny, you have your hand up, Mr. Southwood, or Bill?
There, hi. I am wondering if for new business, we could or should talk about the emergency management system that Portland has and the formation of neighborhood pods and above that, neighborhood sections throughout Portland. Is this something that other people know about or maybe don't know about and that I could talk a little bit about?
Yeah, I kind of wish I'd had a heads up before right now to have this kind of a discussion, but we can give you a few minutes to talk about it. I'd say no more than 5.
I
on the
don't
open
need more
forum.
than 5 because I don't have that much to say about it. So it just to make people aware and then put some contacts in the chat so that people can act on it if they want to.
Wonderful. Okay, sounds
All
good. Let's do that under new business and announcements. And
Great.
then also under that same category, I do want to share that there is a candidate forum coming up in October. I believe it's October 26th, that will be held here at the Rivers Gate Church. It's being held by the Multnomah County Dems, and I'll give you everybody the details during new business and the announcements. It's being sponsored by D4 Coalition, or pardon me, by the Multnomah County Dems, but it's because it's being done here in our neighborhood. I want to make sure that everybody knows about it. Okay. Let's see. So under officers' reports, I was going to mention the candidate forum, but I'm going to wait till under my report. But I'm going to wait now and do it as an official announcement. So we'll do it under the new business and announcement section. Beth, is there any report that you would like to give as vice president?
Nope.
Okay.
That's quick.
Yes. And then so our secretary, she's shaking her head. She does not have anything to report. So that leaves our treasurer, and I know that he does have something to report. So I'm going to stop sharing here and allow him to go forward. Thank you, Peter. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do have a report. I submitted a written report 4 or 5 days ago. Have financial statements of our position and our activities. There's the budget that I'm for the rest of this year that I'm hoping the board will pass tonight, and then a narrative section about how I sort of plan to manage our money. And then an appeal to anyone who is planning to do a project in 2025 to please contact the treasurer and let's talk about what that project might look like. So we'll get to the motion, I think, under new business, but I wanted to invite any questions on the finance report. Let me just say that we are expecting, we have 2 pretty sizable donations coming in. They're in the pipeline right now. $4,000 donation from an individual and or a couple, big fans of the neighborhood association, and then basically a donation for some more work by the livability subcommittee on trash removal and graffiti removal. But I'm open for any questions now, hoping you took the time to read my report.
Hey, Peter, this is Julie. Question
Yeah.
for you. So if, if let's say the community event says, hey, we want to sponsor, a $50 gift certificate for Mad Sass soap for the costume contest in the village, or we want to, pay for a DJ or a climbing wall at Multnomah Days or whatever. If anybody actually wants to ask for something like that, is there a process? Is there a piece of paper? Do we have to send something to the board? What's the process?
The process for the examples that you gave right now are, first of all, get a committee to sponsor your idea. And then, every committee has up to $150 to spend this fall. And if it exceeds that amount, talk to the treasurer, because we have funds and he just wants to know, what plans are being hatched and how he can track them when the expenses come in.
Thanks.
I have a question. Beth here.
Yeah.
If one committee does not intend to spend its $150, can it donate it to another committee?
Yeah, that's something I've been giving some thought to. And I think that is entirely possible. I haven't worked out a process for that. It should be pretty simple and straightforward. But I have in the budget accounted for every committee to spend $150 by the end of the year. And if they don't choose to do so, it would be great to pass that on so other committees have a little more spending flexibility. I do hope, by the way, our financial position is pretty good right now. And I'm hoping that $150, what I'm calling a standard allotment, will go up significantly next year. But we have to see what kind of plans people have and how the fiscal health of the whole organization looks. I'd like to have a budget for the board to vote on in early January for the balance of 2025.
Right on. Well, I would encourage our committee chairs to make sure to get to our treasurer what if 150, because the default, as I understand it, the default is 150, but if you need more than that, let him know so that we can make sure to budget appropriately. And I see Will's hands up.
I want to first of all compliment Peter on what he's been doing with the budget. I've been pretty picky about using standard accounting terminology and all that stuff. Not that I'm an accountant, but I just like people to be able to listen to something that accountants can nod and say, yeah, you know what you're talking about. And Peter's really been doing that. There are a couple of areas where I want to point out the need for a little more use of it. The first, he had a statement in there, the bottom line or the main thing is, how much cash do we have on hand? Which is certainly an important thing. But we're using, I believe, the accrual accounting, which in a sense says, be warned, you've got some debts coming up that you're going to have to handle. Don't just count your money less the obligations you've got, which is an important caution before we get overly optimistic and overspend. And the second thing that's like it is separating out things which are what they call a not designated, but restricted funds. The donor gave just for this thing, and that's all you can spend it on. They need to be also put in there to reduce the amount of money we have to spend on other things, which neither of those is terribly complicated to do. I'm sure Peter's got the one in hand, and the restricted funds is something that the accounting part's a little tricky. But with that caveat, we've got some really outstanding financial reporting that's coming out of Peter. So kudos again.
Thank you, Will. Yeah, I'm aware of those two things. Right now, I think Julie spent down the Metro grant, and I think those were our only restricted funds. So we don't have any restricted funds right now. More will be coming in. But, what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, accrual accounting. I know I am just now starting to work with the budgeting tool inside of QuickBooks. So I'll be learning more about how to project our upcoming obligations and get a clearer view of how much cash we have that's actually usable. But thanks for your kind words, Will.
And I will say this, as it just happened today, and our treasurer is being modest or not bragging. We finally did get our money from Southwest Neighborhoods, our Sweeney money, and
Yay.
the money devoted specifically to Spring Garden Park. I just picked up a check today.
Yeah, that's terrific news, and I was going to mention that, and there's I deposited in the bank this afternoon, so we got all the money that we were expecting for Friends of Spring Garden Park, and an added bonus, the general fund got 59 cents, and the land use committee got 63 cents. So woohoo!
Hooray.
Well, God bless those accountants.
Yeah. Thank you, Sweeney.
All right, well, wonderful. Good stuff, Peter. So it sounds like everything's going according to Hoyle. That is good. And that was the last obligation that we had with Sweeney per se, financial obligation that we had with Sweeney.
The last receivables, the last
Yeah.
money that people owed us. Yeah.
Right. So we are now 100% autonomous. That's kind of neat. Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, Peter.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up. Let's talk a little bit about the 2025 goals. We had at our last board meeting a nice discussion about what we would like to see happen in 2025 with our neighborhood association and the kind of projects that we have. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but I did want to at least mention that, you know, we're trying to use as a foundation this year, what we've done over this last year or two to be able to do even more so. We talked about, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, that the board members, I think I'm mentioned most of it, but the big issues were the continuing our affiliation with the business association when it comes to Multnomah Days, the Village Park project, the Spring Garden Park project, the art mural on Canby, going back in and retouching that up, another Sunday Parkways, continuing our great work when it comes to the livability subcommittee and the graffiti and trash pickups, and even expanding on those. And I'm sure Julie will tell us some more about that. Are there, I don't think, am I missing a project or two? Oh my God, Earth Day. How could I forget Earth Day? Earth Day is an ongoing one that we have had. Which one? Oh, Halloween, Christmas holiday, the work that we've been doing on First Fridays with the business association. So I think this just kind of goes to reflect the commitment that we as a neighborhood association are having to the community and working with our partners at the business association, et cetera, to make this all happen. We even talked a little bit about, you know, trying to start looking seriously at an office space over there at the neighborhood house. That is something that kind of is on the table potentially for our future. So, yeah. Oh, and by the way, just a quick side note on that, and then I'll shush. Mari from over there at Neighborhood House, do you remember our contact over there? She doesn't work there anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, who's her replacement?
I have her. I got an email from her a couple days ago. I'll get that over to you. So Neighborhood House is obviously going through a little bit of transition there, but so that's kind of where we were at with the goals. If I missed anything, did I hit the
Yeah.
high points? Go ahead, Beth.
Land Use Committee is still hoping and planning to do a garden in conjunction with Stevens Creek Crossing.
Of course.
Good. There's,
Very good.
Will,
And I
this is
do want,
Will. I have another one. Go ahead.
go ahead, Will, and then Peter.
Okay, well, basically, we didn't mention at the meeting, and I forgot to mention it later, but the CAC working group, our reps to the CAC, we are working to have a goal of a safe rest village, which is a good neighbor to us, and we are good neighbors to it. And that's a work in progress. It's a thorny thicket, and the people who are doing it, the 4 reps we've got, I think are doing an outstanding job of approaching the thing seriously and collaboratively. And this is a tough one. I won't make any promises, but we've got a good start. So put that goal in there to have a good neighbors with the safe rest village.
Sounds good. Peter?
Yeah, I was just going to say, everyone who has these wonderful dreams for next year needs to be talking to the treasurer about what they might cost and how we're going to pay for them. Thank you.
Peter,
Well-
that is why you are a treasurer for that exact purpose. Okay.
This
Well,
is,
bring up the equity, that we still intend to find a grant for our accessibility project.
Yes, I did.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure where that was in terms of ambitions for timing, but we definitely want to have an equity project. That again is not, that would be grant funded, not funded by the neighborhood association, but it's obviously something we spend time on and would bring in overall cash for use for all sorts of things. Because the grant does hit at the web page and the central communications tools that we have for reaching the public. It's a pretty important one. Thanks for reminding me, Beth.
Well, and I'm not sure that we won't spend some money on that. I mean, we don't know yet.
Oh, we may, if we can get done for $150, that's cool. But I'm anticipating we'll need some professional help, but we'll talk
Oh.
about that in another context.
I-
Just keep
Oh,
this
that's
in
not what
market.
I'm,
Go ahead.
for next year, we're talking about for next year.
Yeah, that's 2025.
We're not talking about spending the $150. We're talking about maybe having to put forth a budget item for that year. We can talk about that.
this is Julie. In general, I'd love, there's so many creative people on the call, and you also, everybody knows creative people. I'd really like to figure out a way in the next few months to get the community engaged. And I'm talking from, Safeway to Walgreens to Gabriel Park to Friar Tuck's, get community members to tell us what they would like to see, projects that they would like to see. And there's been all sorts of ideas about like putting, whiteboards on A-frames and putting them in First Friday and maybe on, for Halloween and for, the holiday gala. Maybe it's online polls, maybe it's Survey Monkeys, maybe it's in front of, I don't know. If we could think about ways that we could reach out to the community members, it would help with equity if we just don't talk to the people that attend these meetings and our friends and family. So if there's any way that you guys can think about how people poll larger organizations so that we can really get ideas for what we can do with our time, treasure, and talent, Will. Great.
Thanks, Julie. Good idea.
All righty. Very good. Okay, so it looks like we have a lot to work on over the next year, and just want to make sure that we shared all of that with folks. The Elections and Nominations Committee is up next, and that is because we are having our board and officer elections coming up in November. Peter, do we have someone here from the Ruralmongers, or would that be you that would be talking about this? That could talk
Well,
about
that
this?
would be that would be Tad, who
Oh, is Tad here?
not here tonight.
Oh, I do not see him. Nope, he is not here. Can,
Peter, have you reached to him since our last email exchange?
Several times.
By phone or email or both?
Both.
Oh, because I thought maybe I'd try to call him tomorrow if you have not already tried to call him.
That would be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to make sure he's okay. This doesn't seem like Tad.
Yeah.
Are
I
we
really
able,
don't know I don't know where things stand. I hope by now we would know who is willing to stand for reelection for the board and for officers and have some new nominations, but I'm really not up to date on that. Sorry.
well, I do notice that I do, if you don't mind me doing it right now, I'm running again for president. I know that Beth has already declared her intent to run for vice president again. Julie, I know that were running again for secretary, and hopefully for treasurer, our current interim treasurer will become will run to be our permanent treasurer for at least a term. That's you, Peter.
Oh, thanks for the reminder.
And then we also have our board members, of course, and I just received an email from Diane Parrish saying that she would like to run again as a board member. And so that leaves the other board members of Wolf Fuller and Corinne and we need to get those all rustled.
Pam, and yeah.
And
So are
Stefan.
you, Moses, you are also on the rule mongers committee. I mean, you're on the elections committee. It sounds like you're the one building the slate. So thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I'm just reciting. I know the ones that I know that are committed to running again, myself included. I'll have to admit, I have not been able to attend those meetings, so I don't know firsthand if there's anything that had been discussed otherwise or being accumulated. I did send, we had asked for nominations to be sent to the contact@mnapdx.org email address, and I received mine and Beth's from that route. And I think Diane Parrish also, she sent it to me and to the board.
Well, that's as you just recited as thorough a list as I've seen of the slate. So I think
Yeah.
tag, you're it.
Yeah, exactly. I will say this to the other folks that are on the call tonight or that are here in person, if you would like to be a board member of the neighborhood association and help us with our decision-making process and getting things done here to improve the neighborhood, just send us an email, let me know. It's a small time commitment of these meetings and maybe one other meeting during the course of a month. And then, of course, if you have a project that you're working on, time that you devote to that particular project. So, yeah, go ahead, Wolf.
Okay, just a brief comment. We had talked, because the notice was pretty skimpy to start with, whether we wanted to extend the deadline for nominations for some period in the future, a week or two, so people get a chance to go in, because otherwise nominations close at this meeting. Also, the deadline for being a member of record would be closing this meeting, but we think we can extend that a few days. So we're not cutting anybody out just because we didn't give good notice.
I suggested that we postpone that deadline for 1 week.
I was going to suggest the 20th.
Yeah.
October 20th.
There's pros and cons to that. The pro is that it does extend it because of our problem, but we did send notice out via the Multnomah Messenger that nominations were being accepted, and we did give ample time, a week, to accept those. I mean, there would be an argument that we did follow the appropriate process and we did follow it in a timely fashion. I think, by extending it a week, maybe we are just doing it to make ourselves feel better to try to get more. I don't know. I'm not against it. I really am not, but
I'm not sure
Well,
we made it.
my
Go ahead.
issue has been that the elections committee has met only once for a brief time, and actually I didn't even attend that meeting. But other than that, we've not had any meetings.
okay. Well, how about we do this then? How about we extend the time period for nominations for 1 week until today is the 8th. We'll extend them until next Tuesday, which would be the 15th of October. And we send out an email to that effect tomorrow. for the board. Because, well, and for officers too, if we want to have a contention, well, we can't. Just because
Yeah.
we are running for reelection doesn't mean nobody else can. Yeah.
I'm not sure we've made it clear enough that there's really two steps here. One, first you have to become, if you are not already a member, you have to consent to be a member, and then let us know that you're interested in joining the board. And so I mean, if that was amply clear, that's wonderful. But
I
I'm
will
not sure.
say- Yeah, but I will say this. Now, we did explain that in the email that we sent 7 days ago.
But was the email only the messenger, or was it an
Yes.
email specifically about the elections?
It was an email in the messenger. It wasn't specifically about it, but it was certainly one that we talked about. Barbara, go ahead. Oh, you're on mute.
I just have a question, which is, what do you mean by member of record, or let it be known that you're a member? How do you become a member or not become a member?
I'll let Will answer that one. Go ahead, Will.
Okay, sure, Barbara. It's pretty simple. You do what things, you don't apply, you consent to be a member. You are already eligible to be a member if you live in the neighborhood, own a business in the neighborhood, or own property. But you do have to consent. It's fairly easy to do. If you go to our webpage and go to the members section, it will guide you through how to do those things. Also, if you go to the board section, it tells about the elections and what you have to do to nominate and so on. And if there's any question, you can send an email to contacts@mnapdx.org and somebody will get back to you. How's that sound?
Sounds fine. So I was just assuming that if you show up at a meeting, you're a member, but I
That
guess
used to be the way it was, but we got more formal because we're having memberships that are meaningful in terms of this is clearly someone who isn't just showing up at a meeting. These are people who have a commitment enough to put their name on the line.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, Will.
Sure thing.
Thank you for the question, Barbara. So let's go ahead then and extend the deadline for this for one more week. And let's make sure to send an email out by tomorrow morning, specific to the election and for the nominating process. And we'll just have to rinse and repeat here and see and I think it does make sense though, we've got the time and yeah, we've got the
Didn't
time.
Corinne, she was submitting a couple of names?
Corinne did. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I saw she submitted 2 names. I don't have them in front of me.
I did. I looked at them. Neither of them was currently a member, and it wasn't clear whether she talked with them before submitting the names. But I sent her an email to that effect that she should chat with them and make them be members the same way Barbara talked about.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, and we need to make clear that if you are interested in nominating someone for a board position, please make sure that they will be willing to serve.
I know that the word.
Yeah. Knowing Corinne, I'm sure she informed them of their potential
got her hand.
commitment. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we're all agreed then. We're going to send out that email tomorrow. We're going to
Amanda
keep it
has her
open for
hands
one
up.
more week. Who does?
And
Oh, please go ahead, Amanda. I didn't see it that.
I'm sorry, I can't figure out how to put the golden hand up. I believe that your membership becomes effective 7 days after you apply to be a member. So it might be better to extend the deadline for 10 days in case anybody here wants to be a board member.
Very good.
call.
Good, very good
Yeah.
call.
You sound like someone who has spent some time in government.
No, just a lot of time on the bylaws committee.
Right. Okay, so that would mean if we follow Amanda's advice, that would mean that 10 days would be the 18th, Friday the 18th. And that would also give us enough time. So if we sent that email out tomorrow, tell them they have to have 7 days, there has to be 7-day lead time for them to become a member. And then also, and that allows them to be able to vote in the election. And then also they have to follow that procedure, be a member if they want to be on the ballot if they want to be a board member, want to be elected to the board. And then we would have, yeah. So what we're looking at here is extending it to the 18th, Friday, the 18th, to allow people to be able to to go through those steps. Sound fair? Okay, I don't think we need a vote for that, a motion or anything like that. I think we just need to do it. Okay, sounds good. Thank you for that input, Amanda, very much. Okay, next up, let's go to the Multnomah Safe Rest Village Community Action Committee. I know that Lisa Carney Fenton and Paloma are here, but Lisa had mentioned she would be giving their report. So thank you.
Hi, so the committee meets once a month at the end of the month, and in October, we were told that the Safe Rest Village is adding new residents each week, and they're currently half capacity. Sunstone Way will continue to work on improving their handling the calls from the neighbors in both the initial phone call and in their follow-up by the management. The noise concerns that previously were brought up were identified and have not resurfaced. Nighttime lighting at the SRV was and continues to be excessive, and the city plans to reposition some fixtures and is working to figure out other lighting options. Sunstone Way, the operator, has a staff that walks around the areas surrounding the SRV, and these neighborhood ambassadors initiate conversations with folks as they come across who appear to be camping out, and they ask them to move on. And the 4 reps, Paloma, myself, Mark, and Mary, we are planning to go door to door sometime later in October in the streets adjacent to the SRV to make sure people know about our group and how to reach us. And if anybody has any specific observations to share regarding the SRV, we can be reached by email. So we'll be telling all the neighbors that as well. And then our complete report can be found on the Multnomah Neighborhood Association website. That's it.
That's a that was a very
Thank
good summary, Lisa. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Lisa.
Sure.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm chuckling because I know that is a summary of many emails. So thank you for your succinctness on that, Lisa.
And I suppose if Mark or Paloma have anything to add that I missed, that would be great. No.
Lisa, how, if I may, how are you and Paloma feeling about the process?
So I wear many hats as a adjacent neighbor, as a CAC member, as a coalition member, and I feel like I'm very frustrated with some of those. Then some of that, I feel I've always worked in the private sector, and I'm learning how bureaucracies and city organizations work, and it's very different than my work experience, if that is diplomatic enough.
Mhm.
Paloma, do you mind commenting on that? Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Lisa said. Gosh, it seems like the 4 of us are spending like 10 hours a month just going through emails and responding and such. I'm not good with numbers, so who knows, but it does feel like a 1 hour meeting with the city folks a month is it's just not quite enough to meet the issues that are happening. And understandably, or we can imagine that because the enlargement process is new, right? We can imagine that there's going to be hopefully more issues now than there will be as we get worked out and as the committee is just started meeting. So, there's maybe hope that, down the road, the pace at which we have things to bring to the larger committee are more at pace with, the amount of time we have. But right now, the four of us just came into this very eager to start meeting and feeling like we wish we could have started meeting in July and didn't start till later August. So yeah, we're definitely needing to be patient, and it's feeling slow.
I appreciate your honesty on that. I don't know what I can do except advocate for more frequent meetings of the CAC as a whole with Lottie. But as you know, when working with them, they seem to go at their pace versus the pace that we wish they would go at. So, but having said all of that, Lisa and Paloma, thank you. Thank you very much for taking this on. And
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
Are the meetings, the monthly meetings are, so obviously we're meeting with Lottie in the city. Is Hendrik still in those meetings?
Yeah.
Are reps from the school still in the meetings? And how about the joint office, the county?
They're in transition.
Yeah, like there are people there, but it's not. Yeah, it's
They're
they
not
said,
engaged.
and what they said, I think when we asked at the last meeting was like sometimes they'll be here, but sometimes they won't, and when they aren't, we're acting on their behalf. Kind of was the response. So,
And I can share that my concern was we finally have this dialogue with Laudy and Hendrik, slow as it may be. And I was concerned the mayor's leaving at the end of the year. Does that mean his staff is leaving, Hendrik and Laudy, and then we're going to be starting all over again? And Hendrik explained that now him and Laudy are under this umbrella called Portland Solutions within the city. So they will still be around after the change of the guard in January. And then there's talk of Multnomah County oversight rather than the city. So we'll have some continuity with Hendrik and Laudy moving forward after the new year. So that's the good news. But if there is a change in who's overseeing the SRVs or TAS or some of these other organizations, we don't know what that looks like. But we will have continuity with Hendrik and Laudy after the new year, after the elections and whatnot. So that's the good news.
One of the shortcomings I think we had historically was that not enough people knew about. I'm just really delighted to have the group of CAC reps together. Have we heard of it from any neighbors or from participants in the SRV with issues about the SRV?
Yeah, I can speak to that as an adjacent neighbor. We've had issues. The business owner next to me is really taken a lot of hits with trespassing, people sleeping on his property, drugs on his property. He's very, very frustrated. We have some people who live in apartments nearby. They're having issues. So we're doing everything we can to reach out to these people and try to support them and see what we can do as a group to have their concerns heard and addressed. But again, it's slow. It's just baby steps right now.
Well, the frustrations and the pace aside, it's really good that people are starting to see that there's someone that they can communicate with about their issues.
Right.
I
And
take that as a good sign.
And I do want to emphasize, and I know this has come up before, but I think this is important for everyone here to understand is you have adjacent neighbors who are affected every day. Every day there's something. It's a screaming, it's the drugs, we have chronic issues who live adjacent. And as you get further and further away from the site, nothing. So it's just this problem or situation that we're trying to address, and we hope that the outer neighbors will continue to be empathetic and understanding that the people that live adjacent to the site are always having issues. It's just the nature of the situation.
Yeah. Well,
Well-
thank you for the work you're doing, you guys.
Thanks.
No, agreed. Thank you very much. One thing I did want to mention also to both of you is that, especially now that we have our treasurer allotting budgets, we could forward a mailer to adjacent property owners around that neighborhood. We could target homes within a certain radius of the SRV with a postcard to let them know. I know that you had talked in some of your meetings about going and knocking on doors and you have a promotional, or not a promotional, but a informational flyer about the CAC and how we can help. I just want to put on the table that if we wanted to do a postcard, that would be another option. Or a flyer, but point being mailing it out to those folks. And or.
Sure, yeah, I mean, I think we were trying to make that human connection and let them know that we're there to support them and hear their concerns. And maybe a mailer in addition would be great. We'll maybe discuss that at our next meeting.
Okay. Once again, Lisa, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's move on. And the next item up for bid, the next item up for discussion is the District 4 Coalition. Beth, this is in your court. Can you give us a quick update on what's going on with the coalition?
Beth, we can't hear you. To unmute yourself, you can hit *6, I believe.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
No? Oh, it just sounds strange.
Go ahead, Beth. We can hear you just fine.
Okay. The good news is that we signed the papers. Moses got the rest of the documents together, got everything sent off, and we're official members of D4. That's the good news. The bad news is that I tried like crazy to get onto the meeting last night and could not find the phone numbers to call to get in via Zoom. So I did not get to attend that. My first meeting as an official rep from our association. So I will make sure to find out more in advance how to get onto that meeting for next month. And I hope to have a report from people because the Sweeney paper was coming up to be voted on, to be expanded to be part of D4. I think that was going to be voted on last night. So I will follow up on that.
I haven't
That's about
heard
it.
Very good. The way it's looking, the D4 coalition, the new coalition is going to be using the services of, or creating a communications committee that will have Dean Smith, the former editors of the Sweeney newsletter, on that committee, putting out a monthly newsletter for the new coalition.
Oh, they voted on that last night?
No, that's not, I'm just saying that's from what I've read, I was not at the meeting last night, whether it is approved or not, but that was the intent.
Exactly. So
Yeah. So
I'll my contacts and find out tomorrow.
Okay. And then Peter also has his hand up. Go ahead, Peter. Peter, you'll need to unmute.
Sorry. I know there are people who would like to understand our insurance coverage better. And I wonder if it's possible, I saw the forms that we signed when we, about insurance, but it'd be good if we could see a policy of what we're protected against. Is that possible?
I wrote and asked them specifically for a policy and for explanations of the 3 items that Julie expressed concern about, and I have not heard back from them yet.
Might have been Corinne.
I sent that the day that Julie brought it up in an email.
Very good, Beth. Okay, very good. I do know that we have insurance coverage, Peter, through the new coalition. That we have the directors and officers insurance policy through the new coalition, and our liability has been covered through it. But we can work on trying to get you to get those actual policies and get it all signed, sealed, and delivered in black and white for the board to be able to see and have confidence in.
Yeah, we know what we've been told, but we haven't seen it.
That's exactly right, Beth. We know what we've been told. And I did receive a copy of the D&O's, the directors and officers insurance, when it first came out a couple months ago from Darlene down there. But it'd be nice to have all that paperwork in one folder that we could refer to if needed.
Could you pass that info on to Peter and Julie?
I believe I have the insurance coverage, Julie.
Yeah.
Peter? Yeah. So we had to have it for some of the summer events that we had, like the Spring Garden Park stuff. So.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I'll just rattle their cage again about getting a policy to us.
Okay. Sounds good, Beth.
That'd be great. Yeah, I think
That's
people
what
just
most-
want to better understand what they're protected against.
Like the name of their insurance person as well, so that maybe we could communicate directly with them instead of having to go through Darlene. No offense to Darlene, but it could
Right.
cut out a middleman.
Exactly. And that's kind of the challenge here, is that we've got too many layers. But that was kind of the challenge with Sweeney. I mean, but it's all being figured out. Okay. Let's move
Anyway.
on. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate it for the update, and we'll have more information on it next month. Coming up next is the community events and the livability subcommittee. I noticed that Corinne and Pam are not here right now, so I'm going to go straight to Julie's for her report.
I'm just cobbling together what Pam and Corinne on community events have been doing. There is, as always, activity volunteer events at Spring Garden Park, and I think new dates for the remainder of the year have been put out. There is a Stormwater Stars event at Village Park coming up, and I can share that information, the links shortly. There's Halloween in the Village that's coming up on Halloween. The M&A is putting on, we've gotten a volunteer, a professional photographer to come in, and we'll be buying, my $150 is going towards hay bales and pumpkins, apparently. So we'll be putting that in front of the Black Built business that's kitty corner to Starbucks. The business owner has allowed us to use that space. I think Julia is my friend on that day, along with the, if anybody else wants to be my friend, we'll be herding adorable little kids in a little line to get their pictures taken. How cute is that? And then giving you information to about the M&A to the parents who are standing there adoringly next to their children, and then asking for donations for the organization as well. I think right now I just have on livability. Oh, and yeah, we're just now starting to talk about, so the Business Association met today and I was their interim person, and Peter, the president of the Business Association, asked if we would also consider doing the same type of photo opportunity for the holiday bazaar. And we're going to have Santa and we're having the Grinch, which would be awesome. So we could do something like, Santa's there for an hour, nobody's there in case you want just your kid, and then maybe Grinch or something like that. So if this particular partner, the professional photographer, is otherwise engaged, I have a backup, but I haven't said yes yet. But how cute would that be? So that's and I'll need friends for that as well. And on to trashier things, I believe that in my inbox is the final executed copy for that $1,500 grant for trash and graffiti. I think I just need to sign it, and then the funds will be released to our treasurer. And if anybody wants to talk about some activities, I think that Julia and I are going to arrange a fair weather solve event for Barber area, super light, easy kind of thing. And we have some other ideas for a DIY graffiti workshop, removal workshop, and some other things. So if anybody has any ideas, I'd love to collaborate with you and then put them on the books for 2025. I think that's it.
I have a question. How do the parents get the photographs from the photographer?
That's such a great question. So in this case, the professional photographer has an account with like Pixie Photo or something, and there are these little flyers, and it has, you go to their website and then you'll type in a code, which would probably be, if I'm really smart, Multnomah in the Village 2024, and there will be all of the photographs. So the parents, when they do give us their email, or they'll have to sign something understanding that all their children's photos will be on one site, and then they'll be able to be downloaded. On that same thing will be some information about the neighborhood association as well.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Now, is the photographer gonna charge them for the photographs, or they can just download them from that site?
That's all free. So, we've always, for most of the time, we've had ways for parents to have photographs in the village one way or the other. So I just saw the need this year because we don't have Riversgate or the dentist doing it. And so I wanted to give a service to the families. So there will be a suggested donation, but everything is free, including the professional photographer's time.
That's so excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sure, I got a new mic. All right. Let's see what's up next. Okay, transportation. Did I see Stefan? Stefan, hello. You want to share with us of your activity, Mr. McLandrich? I caught him off guard.
Remember to unmute, Stefan.
It's hard when you can't find the mute button. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'll give a quick little update. I don't know. I know Peter saw me trying to hustle during the Sunday Parkways event, trying to get people to write complaints to PBOT about pedestrian safety issues at 35th and Multnomah. I am hopeful that there's going to be a very cheap but very good improvement done on the southwest corner. Nothing is finalized, but I have been hearing rumblings that there will be a way for people to get strollers and wheelchairs from the food carts to the corner without having to go into a lane of traffic on the busy intersection. And I hope that the right turn lane is going to get closed. There's still more work to be done, but unfortunately, it looks like a little safety improvement there is all we're going to get from our ask for improvements at 35th and Multnomah. And that's mainly due to the constrained budget scarcity model in transportation funding in general in Oregon and Portland. The other news is you may have noticed that between 37th and Multnomah and 40th and Multnomah on the north side, the bike lane has been erased. And that is because coming hopefully next week is brand new painting for a separated bike lane and separated sidewalk that will go along Multnomah Boulevard on the north side between 37th and 40th. So that is going to be a really good improvement along that corridor. As you know, it's sort of like a kind of no man's land between the roadway and where the parking for those businesses are and whatnot. So that would be a nice enhancement. And I'm not sure there's much else there on the horizon. I'm trying to get in touch with Marianne Fitzgerald. I don't know if anybody on this call knows who she is. she's active in Crestwood, and she's pushing hard for an upgrade on Taylor's Ferry between basically where the end of the Capitol Highway project ends near Barber World Foods, and then Taylor's Ferry heading to the west, which if you've ever been on that stretch and not in a car, you've been scared for your life. So I'm rooting for her, and that would be a very positive thing to connect our neighborhood to Crestwood. So those are the little bits and bobs going on in the transportation world. If anybody has thoughts, comments about how to make things better in Multnomah, let me know. Thank you.
Stefan, two things.
Yeah.
I remember back when, what was it, in 2010 or 2012, during the mayoral race, we did a walkway. We did a walk along Taylor's Ferry from
Mhm.
Capitol Highway, along that strip that you're talking about,
Yeah.
there to the church. Party got hit. That's how tenuous that whole
Oh,
area
yeah.
is. I mean,
Oh,
there's it's scary. So
Yep.
that's a good project to be working on. Second thing I wanted to mention, well done on putting the pressure on them on 35th and Multnomah. I'm assuming it's a curb extension of some sort. That
I'm hoping so. I think it may just be a curb extension with paint and tubular delineators and like the little raised curbs. But the goal, ideally, we close off the right turn lane from eastbound Multnomah to southbound 35th. Up and down the whole Multnomah Boulevard corridor, there's hardly any right turn lanes. I don't believe a right turn lane there is necessary. Southbound on 35th is a just a neighborhood road. It's not even a local collector. There's no need to sort of funnel traffic onto it. All the right turn lane can be used for parking, which is good for the businesses, and it'll provide a little bit more of a buffer for anybody waiting on that corner, so that they're like, as soon as you have 4 or 5 people on the corner, someone is standing with their toes in the street, and cars are whipping around that curve. And then, as you know, to the south of that intersection on the west side, there's 2 steps to get down. So anybody with a stroller and a wheelchair actually needs to go into the traffic, and it's very blind because there's a giant telephone pole and there's that sort of booth area that's set up by the French Quarter. So hopefully they can put in a ramp, but if not, I've asked for there to be like a 2-foot buffer and to continue that extended curb around, because there's room there. So
Yeah. Well, I will say this and 2 things. The Sunday Parkways was the route that was chosen for Sunday Parkways really highlighted the goal that we have at the Neighborhood Association to create a safe bike ped pathway all the way from Spring Garden Park over to Gabriel Park. And Stefan, I must tip my hat to you for pushing this issue as strongly as you have, because that section of Southwest Falcon and 35th going to Multnomah Boulevard is such
Mhm.
a problematic area. It's the missing link for that safe bike ped pathway from the 2 parks.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, but so
Thank
your
you.
work, your work on this is, wow, chef's kiss. Second thing, during Sunday Parkways, I took a bike ride down Multnomah. For the very first time, I gathered up all my courage and I went down Multnomah Boulevard all the way to 40th, man, it's intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the defined barriers, there, those, what do you call those? The sticks or
Oh yeah.
even with that, it's scary as heck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at least there was some definition to the bike path. I can't imagine what it would have been like without those on there. It was probably even scarier before. So
When going under the bridge is I think the most frightening portion, going under Capitol Highway, because right there it actually narrows the bike lane down as well. And if you're familiar with the Maplewood bike bus, it meets at John's Market. And then there's groups on really nice days, as many as probably 30 to 50 kids with, 5, 10 adults, bikes down Multnomah Boulevard from John's Market all the way into the Maplewood neighborhood and then down Maplewood to the school. So yeah, it's quite impressive seeing all those kids. And we try to block traffic at the bridge, but yeah, it's not super safe. You're absolutely right. So
Hey, Stefan, this is Julie. So you, all of the things that you're doing are appreciated. Know that when you feel like you're working in a vacuum, when we ask people when they're coming by our booths and when they're talking to us, what they care about, they're talking about safety of pedestrians and bicyclists. And we have their contact information. I've introduced you to Claire. There are people in this room. There are
yeah,
multiple people that want to know how they can help. So when you think of a project or you don't know if you have the bandwidth, you have friends, you can reach out to us and we will introduce you to people that want to help you.
okay. I will give everybody an assignment that you can do on your own. It'll only take you about 5 minutes. You can Google 823 SAFE, and that is going to be, I just put it in the chat, if you just Google 823 SAFE, that'll take you to PBOT's non-urgent traffic concern portal, where you can enter in a non-urgent traffic concern. You will need to log in with your portland.gov login credentials, the same one that you will use to pay your water bill or your arts tax. Once you log in, once you click on the blue button that says make a comment, you can log in and then just say, I think 35th and Multnomah doesn't meet the bar for like bare bones pedestrian safety, and it's the main access point to our, downtown core from the south, WTF, something like that. And the more people that we can get to make a comment just like that or equivalent, maybe say what you think is dangerous about it, the better chance we have to actually get anything done. So that's my one assignment for right now. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Julie.
Okay.
I'll say this. When I'm elected to the city council, sir, I'm going to make it a point to get that funding for us for that. That's all there is to it.
Awesome.
Hey, just a quick note for everybody that PBOT told us on Sunday Parkway that they will be repeating that route in 2025.
Yeah, one more time. It'll be the last time. They
Yeah.
plan to do 3 years and then keep shifting it. And eventually it'll come back in, I don't know, 6 years, maybe 9 years.
That's probably when they'll have the rest of that, have the rest of those safety measures put up there on 35th is in 6 years. So
Yeah.
anywho, hopefully sooner. All right, right on. Thank you.
Yep.
Moses,
Yep.
should,
Go ahead, Beth.
should our new business scooter conversation be a transportation issue or a separate issue?
That's a good question. Stefan, one of the well, let's get Stefan's input when we get to new business and we can talk about it there. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we have equity, public safety, and communications. Equity first.
Okay, hi, this is Equity. I didn't get to Beth to coordinate on the written report, so this is a draft, if you will, of some high points or not some high points about equity in the area. It's what's happening. It's sort of a surprising phenomenon. I got an email, not a personal email, but a notice from one of the candidates running for city council that they had gotten all kinds of questions with all kinds of subjects, but nobody talking about equity. And this is something that if you've been following the presidential campaign or things in general, treatment of people of color, treatment of people who are different is still a major issue in the country and in the area. And so what we're doing in equity is making the kinds of attitude and actions that counter that by simply being an extension of good neighbors, meaning if you have a neighbor who is from a different area, or you have somebody who you don't normally deal with and are sort of awkward with, reaching out to people who are slightly or more than slightly outside your comfort zone gives a message that all sorts of people are acceptable in this neighborhood. We're doing some targeted outreach, and when we go out on a project, we do a lot of projects like the project at Stevens Creek Crossing. That is an equity project, helping people with a garden, connecting with people you don't normally connect with is a major thing we can do. I'm going to be trying to do something generally, since it came up, about the relative invisibility of equity issues in the area. And I'll pause on that. That's what I want to say. That's the one main thing. I did want to point out that I had been including the Safe Rest Village Community Advisory Committee in the equity report. That's no longer necessary because they're doing their own thing, which is really good. And
the Stevens Creek Garden is a land use project, but we're happy to collaborate with Equity on that.
great.
And then Peter has his hand up. Go ahead, Peter.
Okay.
You're on mute, Peter.
This is circling back to Julie's plans, our plans for the holiday gala. But so here's an idea for 2025, an equity idea. Here are some of the other holidays in December. The Virgin de Guadalupe for Mexican Americans, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Bodhi, the day that that Buddha achieved enlightenment, Boxing Day. I mean, there are all kinds of other holidays besides Santa Claus and the Grinch. So I would encourage you to maybe design some other events in December that could at least appeal to, if not attract, other members of our community.
Sure. I mentioned the SWEC. They may have something in the holiday gala as well.
Yeah.
Southwest Equity Coalition. Which
Are they doing anything in the village?
not that I
Yeah.
know of at this point, but I'll reach out to them some more. But that's part of the process. But it's a matter of building out the idea. The overarching concept behind our equity program is it is a natural extension of what we're doing. It's not something you say, oh, look, we're being equitable. This is what we do, and it includes Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or a variety of other events that come about as part of what people in this neighborhood celebrate and recognize our diversity. We are actually, believe it or not, this neighborhood has about 25% people who are non-white, non-Anglo-white. So it's not a trivial subgroup of people on a racial basis alone, not to mention other characteristics. Definitely an important thing. Multiple holidays for the winter, summer, spring, and fall.
Very good.
Go for it, man.
Thank
I
you,
have a
Will.
brief update about the accessibility project that I haven't even had time to tell you about yet, Will. I got in touch with the person in Scotland that I used to work with here, the guy who designs accessible websites, and he has moved to Brighton, England, and is in the middle of a project for the City of London. So, getting help from him right now.
Great. Well, he's not the only resource. Thanks for looking into it. Or maybe he'll have some free time and we can do equity the English way and do it on the different side of the road.
Well, you can talk to Amanda about that.
Okay, yes.
There we go. Okay, let's thank you for that, Will. Next up would be public safety. I do know that we have a chair for that in Beth, but I don't know if you have a report for us today on that.
I'm not safety chair anymore. I haven't been
Oh,
for
that's right. Oh my goodness, Beth. That's right. That's absolutely right. Okay. That's right.
Don't put that on me as well. I got enough going on here.
That's right. Okay. So then last but not least would be communications. And so Will, would you like to give a quick report on communications and then we'll move to the new business?
Okay, sure thing. Relatively quickly, there is a written report, by the way, on the meeting materials where you can look further. But with communications, what we're doing right now, first of all, I'm getting more people on the communications committee directly. Julie Leet said she can participate, and Pam and Corinne, and Peter doesn't necessarily know it yet, but I'm depending on him to be a participant in the communications league, because when I sent out a request for people to, what are you doing about communications? I got this great essay from Peter saying, how about this and that and the other thing, and what about the overview? And when we put up our booth this time for the Sunday Parkways, he went in there, he first of all had some interesting things for people to look at, designed the flow of how people can get in, become engaged, and made it a much more dynamic communication. So we're doing a lot of work around focusing our efforts, expanding the definition of communications. There's one area that I'm trying to work out is internal communications, like the thing around elections. Who's responsible for saying, here's what we need to put out and what the schedule is and so on. We're playing with the idea, or probably working with the idea, of having what amounts to an administrative calendar and or a fiscal calendar where events like elections or government reports or so on are calendared for us to have good warning to get the word out in an orderly fashion. So I'll leave it at that point and carry on for the rest of the meeting, unless there are any questions.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to get this camera turned back around and let's move on to the new business and the announcement section of our agenda. It is 8:18 right now, so we're pretty much on track. Under new business, let's get to Beth's motion first, and then we'll come back around and then we'll vote on the, I think, Peter, you had one also for budgeting, for motion as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what? Oh, that's right. Oh, and then of course, Penny. Yes, of course. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. First off, let's talk to Beth.
Yeah, the electronic or electric scooters there's a whole whatever thing set up where like a rack in front of the Mac that with all the scooters on it, and then the scooters just get left all over the place, and it's a mess. And I don't know who allowed that, how that got put in the middle of our neighborhood, right in front of the Mac, and I view it as a safety issue, and just it's a mess. I know today I had a big I had a big thing happen today. I went to the beauty salon. It was the first time I've walked in the village by myself since I got sick, so that was a very big thing. But I had to cross the street in a different way than I normally would, because I was concerned about whacking and having my white cane whack into those scooters that just get dumped all around there. So that's not good. I'm wondering what we can do about that. Who let that in? Who let that in? And do we want it there? And if we don't want it there, where should we put it? My suggestion is, if we do want it in the neighborhood, and I guess I might defer to Stefan on that, then could we have it put down on Multnomah Boulevard instead of right in the middle of the business district?
Stefan, I need your expertise on this issue, sir.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that. I assume it's got to go through PBOT. Someone would have had to have gotten a permit through PBOT to set that up. And no one, reached out to me. That doesn't mean that they should. They should have, or they had to. So I can shoot an email to somebody. My guess is there's probably some specific little e-scooter piece of PBOT in the in their bureau, and that here, I'm looking this up right now. Press release here from PBOT. Yeah.
Can I just chime in here? I understand from my husband that those scooters are all through an app. So you grab the scooter, you ride it to where you want it to go, and then you just throw it on the ground when you're done. I mean, that's
Right.
That's sort of how they're used. So,
yes. And they're riding them on the sidewalk as well, that's lousy.
right. So we're seeing them in front of our house on Multnomah Boulevard, across the street from the SRV as well.
Oh dear.
they're just like, they just randomly jump off of them and say, okay, I'm done now. And just lay them wherever they land. And then someone has their app and goes, oh, there's a scooter down a block away on Maloma Boulevard, and they go pick it up. So it's all electronically driven and located by their app. So that's why you're seeing them just kind of dropped off wherever, because they decide they're done.
Yeah, that's their business model. It's as Lisa said, this is all online app and GPS based, and the company, I think the scooters we're talking about are Lime, and I imagine that Lime has an umbrella agreement with Peabot, but you know that station outside of by the bus stop in front of Mac, that's not a Lime depository. You know, that's just where the last rider left it, and
No, but they
I
have
suppose
that,
one
like,
thing you could do is get in touch with Lime and tell them they've got a scooter that needs to be picked up in front of the Mac. But
No,
that's
it's
a
not
crazy
that.
thing.
They have a whole rack there where they could put the scooter or pick up the scooters. There's like a scooter rack there. that
Yeah,
supposedly-
I have seen that,
like-
Beth. You're right. There's like, it's a location for like a main location of the scooters for the neighborhood. There's like
Is
five
it
or
on the
six.
sidewalk or is it at the entrance to Mac?
It's on the sidewalk.
Wow.
So I'm just reading, it came out with a press release on August 8th, 2024. So this is fairly new. And it's just all these flowery quotes from Director Millicent Williams, the Peabot director. They've got Sarah Inaroni, the executive director of the Street Trust, talking about how this is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. So this is my guess is this is a tsunami, and it's going to be hard for us to sort of like stack a couple pebbles to slow down this movement. But I think if there is an issue with where they place this thing, that's something that could get addressed, though.
We could start there, I suppose.
Yeah. You know, honestly, if I were to write Peabot about this, they're going to write me back, that's a great comment. You should submit an 823 SAFE ticket.
If you think about the back of Mac, it's nice and quiet and could be a good organized place for it, or even in the Lucky Lab parking lot that's no longer a parking lot. Like that would encourage people to gather and to grab a beverage. I mean, there's plenty of places where that would make a lot more sense, be safer, and actually be more amenable to people, you know, schlepping around with a e-bike.
Here, I'm just looking at the
There's-
website,
Yeah,
Stefan.
and they
This
also
is
have
Will,
please
if I
report
may.
specific incidents as improperly parked scooters and blah 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 blah. So they actually on this press release have a place for you to report an issue.
Yeah.
Sidewalk, riding, improper parking, damage, blah blah
Oh,
blah.
so
I
they
can
want us one little thing at a time. The whole rack right there, I don't want that there. Because that's where it's making a mess on the sidewalk, all around there, all in front of the Mac. I mean, that's, not safe.
Here, may I make a suggestion for our consideration then? It sounds like we all need to do a little bit more homework on the situation as far as the relationship that Lime has with the city and the e-scooters, the location of the e-scooter main facility or the main location of their parking of them here in the village. And then I'm hearing another one of the challenge of them being left in right-of-ways on
Yes.
sidewalks, and that problem. So we've got a couple of issues here. I don't think there's not a real motion or anything that we can do at this moment, but what we can do is start to do some homework on this in preparation for the next meeting. And I think that, we're on the right track for that. I think that, we could, do you mind, Stefan, can I put this under the transportation committee purview? Stefan?
He's muted.
Yeah, you're muted again, Stefan.
Sorry, actually, I lost like audio for the last like 30 seconds or more.
Oh, what I was hoping to do is be able to put this under the Transportation Committee purview as far as using the next 30 days to do a little bit of homework on the background of the relationship, Lime's relationship with the city, and trying to find out some more information so that
Sure.
we can maybe take a concrete action at the next meeting.
Sounds great.
And I think
Okay.
her name is Sarah Iannarone. I think
I knew I butchered it.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. She ran for office a couple times.
I think she's
how I
running
know
for
her.
office now.
Yeah. She ran for
Oh,
mayor.
okay.
She ran for mayor. Okay. And Will, I see your hand up. Last word on this on this topic, please.
Okay, couple of things. I put into the chat a link to a City of Portland website with a whole bunch of information about them. The second thing is there are two companies. Lime has green scooters, and Lyft, the rideshare company, has gray and orange scooters, and the ones in front of the Mac are Lyft scooters. So there's two companies, but Lyft is the one who's the offender in this particular case.
Wow. I do know I've seen some Lime scooters around the village, but yeah, let's do this. Let's make sure that at next meeting, we can have a more detailed report on this through the Transportation Committee and maybe take some action steps in November, be it a letter to the respective bureaus or to the e-scooter company itself, expressing some concerns. But it sounds like we do need to find out a little bit more information before we can go forward with any action.
Definitely, I'm
And-
happy to be a loud voice on this as well.
Awesome. Yeah. I think I want to go make sure I check it out too. I don't know if I've
Okay, just
like
let me know.
walked over there
Let me know when
recently,
it's-
but yeah. Ideally, we get a good picture of the scooters like scattered haphazardly blocking like the sidewalk.
Yeah,
A good picture, I think, is better than a lot of people complaining.
agreed. I think that's a great idea too, and I'll be on the lookout in my travels around
awesome,
here.
Moses. Yeah, it's right
If I
by
see a
you.
photo, if I see one in a
Perfect.
right away, I'll take a photo of it. Okay.
Excellent.
And just
Um,
that bike scooter rack right in the front, it just gives people the idea that they can kind of dump the scooter when they're done. I saw them lined up there, and then I saw them dumped there another day. So the more they do that, the worse that's going to be on the sidewalk.
Right.
I know I'm not going to walk over there anymore. I'm going to cross the street because of that.
All right, very good. I understand, Beth. Okay, sounds good. Well, we'll work on that over the next 30 days, and we'll have a report from the committee here in November. And thank you for your help in bringing this topic up.
And thank you, Bud, for taking it on.
Right on.
You got it.
Okay, next up, let's do the budget motion, and then we can end the meeting with Penny's discussion about the NET. So Peter, you're up now.
Peter, you're muted, even though you're not talking.
Here we go. I just screen shared a copy of the budget. I know you all read very carefully the finance report this month and have looked over the budget. Just a few things. Mostly I worked on sort of our historical trends, what we have spent money on for events, promotion and snacks, flyers, postcards. I lumped a bunch of stuff under miscellaneous expenses. There's some uncategorized income because donations do trickle in. There's a line item for Candowment. That's a program I've started, just collecting cans and bottles to redeem for M&A. And I hope that we can expand that program next year, bringing in about $40 to $60 a month on cans and bottles. There is one item in December. I've got individual donations budgeted at 500. I think we need to be loud and proud about all the things that we are doing around the neighborhood and make an appeal to our members and our readership that we can't continue to do that without their support. So I'd like to see us mount our first real fundraising appeal in December. It's basically, well, you can see the numbers here. We should end up with about the same financial position in December as we are right now, except as I mentioned before, I know we're getting several large donations that were not anticipated or built into this budget. So I feel like it's a pretty conservative budget, and I would like to ask the board to approve it, please.
We have a motion on the floor then to approve our treasurer's quarterly budget for the rest of this year from September to December 2024. We have myself and Julie Leet in person. We have Will, Peter, Beth, who else? Diane Parrish, and Stefan, and Will available to vote. So let me ask this just to save some time. Is there anyone that is voting that is would not be in favor of approving our treasurer's budget? If not, I would propose that we vote on this by acclamation and unanimous consent. Unanimously approve this.
Thank you,
Sounds
everyone.
good. Very good. Thank you, board members. I appreciate that. All right. Last but not least, Penny, you are up. You have the floor.
Wahoo! Peter, do you want to quit sharing for a sec? Well, for permanently for tonight. I have, if I can get down to chat. Peter, could you quit sharing, please? Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to put in the chat the name of Multnomah Net. And let me tell you quickly about it. During our neighborhood picnic, kind of at the top of the Texas Water Tank Park, there's a biannual neighborhood picnic. And last time, I guess it was June, somebody stood up and said, I work for the city of Portland. And by the way, we have an emergency management system in Portland, and we're expanding it to create a network of emergency management systems. And for some time, apparently, Portland has had a calling system called Beacon, BEECN. I'm seeing a nod from Kate. Thank you. That is a radio transmission system for when phone lines are down, and if we have a major catastrophe like the big one, where people can go and find out about emergency services coming and going to different areas, can report needs for emergency services, and these radio spots throughout the city are connected to each other and to fire departments and police and emergency management. Then there is another level of emergency management and yet another couple of levels. And so what I'm talking about today is the bottom two layers. And about the time I heard about this emergency management system for Portland, I was saying, after last year's ice storm, we have a need on our street, in our block, for a neighborhood network of just checking on each other. When the power goes out, the phone lines go out, the heat goes out, there are people who really kind of need watching. We had one elderly neighbor fall and hurt herself. She could not get to her phone. And it was only because another neighbor came in to check on her that she was discovered after a half a day of lying on her floor with a broken shoulder or a dislocated shoulder, unable to reach her phone or anybody. That kind of thing I think, can set up. There's another layer above that called Multnomah Net, and that's what I've put in the chat. So long story short, I think it would help to have everybody know about this, everybody get connected to Multnomah Net, and everybody within Multnomah Neighborhood Association, at least. And the other neighborhoods throughout Portland are also connecting in this way. The way I've connected with it is because I started an email list on our street. It obviously doesn't connect everybody because there are some people who don't want to be on an email list. But at least we can start these little meetings, start connecting with each other purposefully during emergency times like the freeze last year, when a lot of things were out, and just take care of each other. And also know that we are connected to this Multnomah Net and the beacon system. So I'm just talking here. My question to you should be, who else other than Kate has heard about this Portland network? Good, Peter. Okay. Not hearing. So now you have heard about this. And for Multnomah, this Tom Boker is in charge of Multnomah Net. And his email is right after his name in the chat square that I put here. There is going to be a meeting explaining how this network system and how you can get connected to it and get your neighborhood connected to it, your immediate, like street, your block, however you want to organize to get yourselves connected and your immediate neighbors. So please contact Tom, let him know you are interested, or get a neighbor who needs something more to do and see if you can connect. Peter.
Yeah, do you know when that meeting is?
Yes, see the bottom line there in the chat, it says October 17th from 6 to 7:30. The location is so far unknown, but if you will put yourself in touch with Tom, I'm sure that he can include you on the email list.
And do you know when the next Texas Tank neighborhood gathering is? It's coming up, right?
Yes, it's coming up, and that
The
is
13th of October, 11 to 2. It's going to be a, somebody got a coffee machine recently.
coffee cart.
Coffee cart.
Coffee
So
cart.
that's why they're switching it from an evening thing, late afternoon to the morning, 11 to 2.
Great. Thank you.
And you bring food.
Yeah, it's like a potluck.
Yeah,
Okay.
potlucks.
So that's the neighborhood report.
Hey, Penny,
And-
this is
Go ahead.
This is Julie. So we've, the Neighborhood Association has collaborated with NET just like on sharing booths and stuff. And this is so on brand with what we're trying to do, bringing neighbors together on things they care about and being helpful and being safe and educating each other and connecting in this way, especially like in the microcosm of who are your actual neighbors, and learning tools that can help us in, the big and little challenges that are always ahead of us. This is wonderful. My thought to Moses is, wouldn't it be great if we could get, net representation as part of what we do, right? Where we're communicating, where we're getting people together. So I don't know if we have a solution right now, but let's start talking or thinking about, throwing it out there. I'm going to see if I'm available on the 17th to attend. My daughter has interest in it as well. This is just really, really on brand with what we're doing here. So thanks for thinking of us.
You bet. It's a logical connection.
It
And,
really is.
Yeah.
Well,
I want to
and
remind everybody to save the chat. And if you don't know how to do that, go to the top of the chat box where there are 3 little dots. Click on those 3 dots, and then click Save Chat. It goes in your Zoom folder, wherever your Zoom folder within Documents is saved, whether it's in the cloud or on your computer.
fantastic. You know, there was a time where NET was a subcommittee or was a committee of the neighborhood association back in, when I was chair back in 2010. With the NET system was much more vibrant.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
Let's
they did a lot.
revivify it.
yeah,
They were
and-
very
but-
involved. Sweeney
Yeah.
kind of coordinated a lot of that.
right.
The Sweeney Public Safety Committee and NET worked together. They did amazing things. I mean, they even had systems set up for, they had people, the people who communicate with each other when the phones are down.
Beacon.
You know, the
Radio.
emergency. Yeah. They had them,
Fantastic.
they did trainings for them, got them set up. I mean, it was quite elaborate.
Mhm.
You
There
know, and I-
are trainings coming up for this group in, I think, November. So sign on, talk to Tom, get connected.
Good stuff. Thank you, Penny, very much for bringing
Yeah.
it to bringing it to the forefront here.
Penny, I
You know,
think you're our new public safety chair.
Oh, boy.
Thank you for
Yes,
stepping up.
yay.
All right, great.
We have a
So
very
I-
safe.
On
Penny, I
that
did-
note,
But no, I have to say, I want to promote that that idea a little bit. I was public safety chair for a few years, and it was really cool. So I hope you will take that on. It's not
Okay.
horrible.
I'll think
Hmm.
about it.
Right in with what you're doing.
Yeah,
right on.
it fits that way. Okay.
So I'm noticing the time here. It's 8:45. I appreciate everybody's patience as we've gone over a little bit, but that's okay. Next up is our agenda review for next month. We will have a report back in regards to the Lime e-scooter situation. We will have our elections next month in November. So for board members and for officers, we'll have sent out an email because we've extended the deadline for both members and for nominations to the board for those elections. What else? I get the feeling we're going to have, by November 12th, we'll potentially know who our new city council members are. The election results. What else?
And
Am I
maybe our
missing-
president too, a new president.
Knock on wood.
We
Let's
might
see.
have, is this when we would want to bring new bylaws, like bylaw suggestions, edits to our current bylaws? Would that be done in November?
If it's something that the rules committee feels it needs to do, or
Okay.
the bylaws committee, they haven't met
Right.
recently. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But we should
sounds
talk
good.
about that because we had a few edits.
Oh, yeah. And that's right. And we do have to do them at the beginning of the new terms, don't we?
I think so.
I think so too, Beth. Okay, well,
So
we'll
maybe
work
put
on
that on the agenda. And if that's not going to be the case, I'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good. And our secretary documented it
once-
as well.
Okay, and once we talk to Tad,
Yeah,
see
that's
what's up with
exactly. We
that.
got to get from Tad, get the parliamentary point of view.
do you
All
have
right,
his phone number?
I do.
Somebody
And I'll
email
give
me
it to you offline, Beth, if you don't mind. Let me go ahead and wrap
could-
this
no.
up.
Just please email it to me tonight so I can call him tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, well, it's 8:45. So did I hear a motion to adjourn from my secretary? I did hear a motion. And so I think our meeting is adjourned. Okay. Thank you all very much. Kate, thank you
Thanks,
very much
everyone.
for being here. I know
Thanks
you've
for
been